Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. My name is Katia, and I'm the program manager for the School Enterprise Challenge, and I'm really pleased to see you here today. So we'll wait a minute or two just for a few more teachers to join. Um, you'll give it one more minute, and then we can get started. Okay, so today's session is called How to Complete the Business Plan with Confidence. And what I want to say, something really important from the start. If you're not yet at milestone 4, that's completely fine. This session will still be really useful. When you do reach this stage, you'll feel very prepared already. So today isn't about theory. It's not about making everything perfect. It's about helping you leave feeling clear and confident in guiding your students. So just a few quick housekeeping points before we get started. So please note down any questions that you may have. Um, we'll have a dedicated Q&A time at the end. And this session is being recorded so that colleagues can watch it later on. As I know, it was quite difficult to find a time that works for everyone in the world. So, yeah, it will be recorded. And I'll pass it on to you later as well. Please keep your microphones muted unless invited to speak. And yeah, we want this to be a really structured but also interactive and supportive session. So yeah, thank you. So let's get into it. So by the end of this session, you'll understand what a strong business plan looks like, know exactly what students should write in each section, and understand what evaluators are looking for. And most importantly, feel confident supporting students without doing the work for them. So that balance is really key. So, what is a school business? A school business is a business that is owned by the school but staffed and run by the students. The degree to which the students will take ownership of the business is to a large extent dependent on their age, as younger students will obviously require more supervision, but the basic premise still stands um, that the students should feel that they collectively own the business. So a school business should also be sustainable. It should be the difference between the approach that we're taking at the School Enterprise Challenge, and we're talking about here, and other approaches to enterprise that you might have encountered in the past, is that in this instance, we're talking about setting up real businesses that run for an indefinite period of time. Therefore, school enterprises must aim to be sustainable and run for indefinitely, so it can be passed down to younger students from older students and give those older students leadership opportunities. So here we're not talking about like a short-term project where students just set up a business for a short period of time or for a day, but rather establishing a business that will act as a learning resource for all staff and students and as a source of income for an indefinite period of time. So, where we are today. So, today we're focusing on milestone 4, the business plan. Students have already developed their idea at this point, and now they're turning that idea into a structured, realistic plan. So, this is the bridge between the dreaming part and the doing. So, yeah, you can see the full journey of the School Enterprise Challenge here. So, there's 7 milestones from introducing your team, exploring your dreams, building your idea, the business idea, then developing your plan. Business plan is where we are today. So we're going to just zoom in on milestone 4. So when this stage is done well, launching the business becomes much easier and much smoother. And a good plan creates confidence. So Milestone 4 sits right in the heart of the program, and yeah, it can bridge the ideas and the action together. So, the goal of Milestone 4 is simple. So it's to turn an idea into a clear plan, to decide how the business will operate, and prepare students to launch confidently. We use guides 5 to 9 to cover marketing, operations, and simple finances. And the output of your business plan will be uploaded on to Elevated afterwards, as well as the teacher assessment and evaluation, which are just you just fill in on Elevated, our website. So some key facts about Milestone 4. So there are 5 core activities. We use guides 5 to 9. We complete the official template on Elevated. Now, we say that milestone 4 often takes between 6 to 8 weeks, but that assumes you're only spending about 1 hour a week on it. So, in reality, the business plan usually takes around 6 to 8 hours in total. So, if you're able to dedicate more time in a shorter period, it can be completed much quicker. And remember, this is a planning document, so if things change once students start selling, that's completely normal. And the deadline that we have is the 16th of March 2026 for the business plan. So this slide is probably the most important of the session. So this is what evaluators are looking for in what they want to see in a strong business plan. So evaluators are not looking for perfection. They're looking for clear student thinking, clear understanding of customers, realistic roles and responsibilities, simple, believable numbers that add up, and risks that have been considered. If the thinking is clear and genuinely student-led, the plan will be really strong. So, at a glance, the business plan, it has 5 sections. So first of all, we've got the market research. Then we've got the startup capital, the operational plan, the marketing and sales plan, and finally the financial plan. So we're going to go through each one briefly just so that you have a knowledge of exactly what is expected in each part of the business plan. So, so in the market research section of the business plan, students must show who their customers are, who their competitors are, what they actually did to research, and what they learned. The key word is actually. So it's not assumptions, we're looking at evidence here. And how they did it. Did they do a survey? Did they discuss it with people? So they could have different types of customers. So they could do it with students in the school, they could do it with family members, people in the community. There's lots of different potential customers that they can talk to and carry out surveys or do observations or discussions. So, in practical terms, students need to define their target market. So, they need to speak to potential customers, analyze competitors, and complete a SWOT analysis. So, a SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you should encourage them to reflect what surprised them about what they learn, what feedback changed the idea or where they're going to target their customers in a different way. So that reflection is where the learning really happens. So let's do a little test of what we think is the better one here. So which is a good example of market research? So in the chat, can you either answer one or two? So the first one is people will buy our product. And the second one is we interviewed 10 parents and learned that they would like our product because. So let's see in the chat. Yes, exactly. Exactly, yeah, it's the second one. So this is what shows evidence. So going from an opinion of people will buy our products simply by saying how you did it and how many people you interviewed or you surveyed and what you learned from it, this becomes evidence of what you've done. Exactly. So now moving on to the startup capital section. So let's talk about something that, yeah, it can often feel very intimidating, raising startup capital. So startup capital simply means the money or resources that you need to begin the business. So it can be money, yes, but it also can be materials, tools, space, or support. So, and it doesn't need to be large. In this section is really about being realistic and resourceful. And this really matters because it helps the students to plan realistically and it helps to build fundraising and problem solving skills and can also market the business before it launches. So it does a bit of advertising for the business and for what you're doing at your schools. That's also a really strong selling point that you're in a global competition and that the students are learning entrepreneurial skills. So these are really amazing things that you can also show in raising your startup capital and get some early support from potential customers. And in this section, students develop creativity skills, planning skills, confidence because they'll be talking to potential customers, and also teamwork, how to work together. So students need to decide what they truly need to start. So not the ideal version, but a realistic one. So ask things like, can we reduce the costs? Can we get any materials donated? Can we borrow anything? In the plan, they should clearly explain how much is needed, where it will come from, and why that approach makes sense for their context. Even saying we don't need any money is acceptable if it's justified. So we have quite a lot of schools who have been doing the program for years and years and years. So they have money left over from the previous year's program. So they don't need startup capital. So that is a justifiable reason to say, oh, we've been running the business and we've been reinvesting, so we don't need startup capital. That is also exactly what we're looking for as well. So that's fine too. And then yes, so in the business plan, you need to also fill in the section on the startup capital, estimating how much you actually need, the items, the quantity, the cost per item, and the total cost in your local currency. So some realistic ways that schools do raise startup capital, just for some ideas here. There are three main approaches. So the first one is getting investment or support. So things that help, for instance, are small student contributions. That really helps with students feeling like they own a part of the business, if they put in a little bit of money themselves. Support from parents, teachers, or school leadership as well. Or loans as well from those that can then get paid back once the business starts making profits. Donations of materials and equipment having any donations really reduces the startup costs. So this can be really helpful and equipment too. And local businesses sponsoring or donating items. So also in-kind support counts. So things like space, tools, materials, that also really helps. The second one is organizing simple events. So things like school fairs, activity days, talent shows or performances that have a ticket that people need to buy to enter or to come and watch. Also really easy ways to make some startup capital. Movie nights or quiz events, car washes, games, raffles. So these are all quite low cost ideas, but a high participation. And they build that early advertising about your business as well and everything that you're doing in the competition. And thirdly, buying and selling low cost products. So using recycled or donated materials really helps to keep the cost down. Micro businesses to raise the initial funds can be a way to do it. So you start off with a small business in the first year that you're in the program. And then once you've gained money from that business, you can then do a different business that requires a higher startup capital. Selling products already available in the community. So starting small and reinvesting the products is the best way to do this. But the best strategy is the one that fits your school's reality. So you have to do this based on what resources you have available, if it's feasible in your school. These are all things that you do in the business idea, in the ideation phase. So you have to see if it's possible to run this business. And yeah, the way that you raise the startup capital will be the best fit to your reality. So now we'll move on to the operational plan, which relates to Guide 6. The operational plan answers one simple question: who does what and when? So students need to list activities, define the frequency of these activities. Are they going to be doing them on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis? And then assign responsibility. So in the departments, which department is going to be responsible for this? Is it going to be the marketing department, the finance department? Will it be yeah, all the different, all the operational side. So having different departments responsible for different things, how long it takes as well, each activity, um, and what the task is specifically, so that yeah, this helps to prevent any issues later down the line in the actual management of the business. Um, so any, yeah, clarity here really prevents any confusion later, or someone saying, oh, I'm always doing the same thing, or this never gets done, because it needs to be listed so that they know exactly when it needs to be done and who is responsible for it. Even when we're rotating departments and students move around, you know that the marketing department is responsible for doing X amount of social media posts per week, or reaching out to people on WhatsApp, or whatever it is, exactly the task that you need to do for your business, then putting it in this really helps to keep the structure. So part of the operational plan as well is the organogram. So this is your team structure. So this includes three really important parts: the departments that you have in your business, which will vary depending on what your business is and what you're doing in your business, the roles that you have for the students, and the rotation. So I've put an example of an organogram that got a gold level organogram on the screen. So here you can see that the organogram shows team structure, so the departments, the roles, and they talk about rotation. Rotation really is encouraged because it helps students to learn different skills. So if they rotate every month, then they're able to gain different skills in different departments. They can see what they really like, and it can really help to make them more all-rounded and see different parts of how the business works, and they might find something that's their speciality that they absolutely love. Um, we also really look for fair gender distribution as well within, particularly in leadership roles. Um, Obviously, unless you're an only girls or boys school, then we don't look for that in those cases. So yeah, this. So I've hidden the student names in the example, but the best practice is where all students have a role, whether it's within leadership roles or with it, helping within a department. And then you should explain the department underneath it, so what it does, and the gender balance. So you can just put a male or female or girl or boy next to each name, and how the department rotates as well, how often it rotates. So this really helps us to see that it's you have a whole system going on with all the departments and what each department does, so it's very clear. So now we'll move on to finances. So this relates to Guide 8 that you'll find on Elevated. So we'll try and keep this really simple. So essentially, income equals price multiplied by quantity. The costs are what you must pay for items that you're buying that you need to buy before you can sell them, and the profit is what remains. So the goal is realism here, it's not perfection. So some very common errors, mistakes that we see in the business plans in the finance section are can include numbers that are copied from the internet that don't fit your local context. So this is where it really should align in the finance section with your market research. So if you did market research and you found that I don't know, the product costs $1 in general, but then you put it for $10 in your financial plan because that's what it said on the internet because someone else in a different country sells it for that amount, but that is not how much you'll actually be able to sell it for, then yeah, it doesn't match your market research and it's unrealistic. Also, forgetting costs. So, some of the indirect costs that you will have as a business. So, thinking of things like transportation costs, um, having to get different materials to create your products, those type of things, are often left out, but are really important to think about when you're working out how it's going to be a sustainable business. And yeah, simple calculation errors as well. But this is something that we do understand happens when yeah, people are learning. So it's this is part of the process as well. Um, but yeah, really encourage students to research local prices. So when the numbers are grounded in reality, the plan becomes credible and much stronger as well. So and then finally, we'll look at the marketing and sales plan now. So this section relates to Guide 9 that you'll find on Elevated. And this is how people will actually buy the product or service that your business is offering. So students need to describe the four P's, which are product, price, place, and promotion. So let's go through each one and what that means. So the product, you need to talk about the features and the benefits of the product or service that you have. The price, so consider factors like costs, competition, what are other people selling it for in your country, in your town, in your village, for the same product and customer perception of the value of it. And then the place is where you're going to distribute it. So you're going to do that in stores or online. Um, and then promotions, so strategies used to communicate with customers, including advertising, sales promotion, skits, advanced orders, all of those type of things. How are you going to promote the product? So everything here should connect back to your customers. So what is your unique selling point? So thinking about why will my customers like my product? Where will my customers be to ensure that I'm in the place that they are? What kind of price will my customers be able to afford? Where are my customers for the promotion? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Will they see a poster in the town hall? Wherever your customers will be and how you can get them to how you can communicate with them is also really important. So some top tips for success. So follow the process. If you do the activities in and the business guides all in order, it's made in this way for it to make sense and to really help to build to build your business logically. So allow students to take the lead. So yeah, if they're in charge and make their own decisions and learn from their mistakes, this is where the real learning comes from. So while sometimes it can be difficult at the start, and it takes a bit longer at the start when they're really leading, the fruits of this will come towards while they're actually in the process, and they'll learn so much more by having that hands-on learning. So, uh, make it work for your context. So, yeah, the what works in your community, adapt the idea to fit your context. So, business teams should pick an idea that suits their context, skills, and the needs and opportunities in their community. And finally, Take lots of photos. So encourage your teams to do it so that they can have nice memories, and it also really brings their submissions to life. And they can add their photos to the photo journal on Elevated. So our program ends in mid-March, so we're asking schools to submit their business plan by the 16th of March. And when the 2026 program launches in April, you already have a head start and a plan ready to launch your business for the 2026 program. So some key steps and some key takeaways and next steps. So, key takeaways. So, milestone 4 is about planning, it's not about perfection. Teachers need to guide the process, but students decide on how it's running. So we often say at Teach Man to Fish, it's all about teachers being the guide on the side instead of the sage on the stage. So you're guiding the process, but students need to take the active role in making the decisions so that they learn lots and they feel that ownership over the business. Clear thinking beats any long writing or so if your plan is like clearly thought through and there's clear clarity in how you've gone from one thing to the next, this is exactly what the evaluators are looking for. And every team can succeed at this stage. No matter where you are, you have all the resources available, all the time. You have about a month until the deadline, and it's absolutely doable, and you'll still, yeah, definitely succeed. So, in terms of next steps, so the deadline for submitting milestone 4, your business plan, is the 16th of March. So if you submit by this date, then you'll be in the competitions for the best global business idea, which has an £150 prize, and the best global business plan, which has a £500 prize. The winners will be announced at our celebration event in April 2026. Um, and you're building foundations for launching your business in our 2026 program. So it's a really great way to have a head start on other teams for the 2026 program. So thank you for coming today. Um, yeah, we'll open the floor to any questions. Please feel free to answer anything. If you're unsure, others probably are too. I'll stop recording, but yeah, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat.